go through the back.
How's school? Like, what's the teaching? Teaching 3 days a week.
I'm just coming down now. I'm coming outside. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. My name's James Gibson, and Huw was one of my oldest and best friends. It means so much to see this room filled with people who loved, respected, and were touched by Huw's life in so many meaningful ways. I'd also like to welcome everyone watching the live stream from near and far. Specifically, I'd like to welcome the people joining us online in Wales, England, Malaysia, and Turkey. We have people here today from out of province, but notably we have people here from Vancouver Island, the Lower Mainland, and Wales, the three places closest to Huw's heart, and the three locations where his ashes will be scattered. Today we come together not only to mourn Huw's passing, but to celebrate the life he lived. Huw was many things to many people: a friend, a brother, a bandmate, a son, a husband, a father, and each of us carries a part of his story with us. This is a time to reflect, to laugh, to cry, and most of all, to remember. We'll share stories, music, and memories that remind us of Huw's humor, his kindness, his passions, and the joy he brought into our lives. Though we feel deep sadness of his absence, we also feel the deep gratitude of having known him. Huw's spirit lives on in the memories we share, the lessons he left us, and the love that continues to connect us all. So let's begin this celebration of life with open hearts and honor Huw in the way he would have wanted, with warmth, with laughter, and with love. There will be 4 slideshows with speakers before each one. At the end of the final slideshow, we will open up the microphone to anyone who would like to share a story or say something about Huw. Following that, Jetlag will play 3 songs before we move into the adjoining room for snacks and drinks. At this point, I would like to invite Huw's parents, Tony and Linda, to come up and speak.
Got to get with the technology these days. Okay, I'm not sure I like going first, but I guess I lost the toss, so I'm going first. I'd like to just state that Tony and I are looking forward to putting names to faces. We heard a lot of names, but we don't know who you are, so that'll be nice to names and faces. Okay, this is starting off as might sound like a criticism, but it also shows Huw's humour. So I'm going to read 2 redacted messages from him, and after you've read them, you can tell me what the fault was. I'm going to start by saying that as good as... Oops, that's the wrong one. Here we go again, another important day, and your ungrateful son has neglected to send a physical representation of his gratitude. I have no excuse aside from the laid-back attitude which serves me well in life, but causes me to fall short in different ways. That's the first one. The second one, they say it's the thought that counts, and I hope this is true for buying a card at 7-Eleven that has nothing to do with your special day. You have to give me credit though. I did get Danny to drive to Port Alberni, and hand deliver it. So accept my apology and take solace in the fact that I am aware of what you are doing and have done for me. I hope my child/children are as grateful to me as I am to you. So yes, fault is he doesn't send cards. Even, all the years I've tried not to get mad, but I was really mad at him. Our 50th wedding anniversary was during COVID. Total shutdown. You didn't think anything was special about a 50th wedding anniversary? She phones me and he says, do I get the impression you're annoyed at me? I said, yes. Why? I said, well, it's our 50th wedding anniversary and you didn't send us a card. Well, it was nothing special. He said, I phoned Will, and that's Emma's brother, and he didn't think he was special either. There you go. Anyway, but over the years I've had poems, I've got videos that he sent me, so he really was good, but that was kind of just showing his humour on, where his faults are. Now, Christmas is another story. He really tries to do good things Christmas time, and he goes out his way to get meaningful presents. Unfortunately, that comes at a cost because it's usually technical, which means it's got to be set up, which usually means a subscription, which means then I got another password to remember. And then he sets it up and then he goes home. And we are left trying to figure out whatever it is he bought me. And one year for my birthday, he was buying me an Apple TV. So Tony's in the garden, and he said, let's go down to Nanaimo, because we didn't have anything in Port Alberni, and let's go to Nanaimo and we'll buy an Apple TV. So I yelled to Tony, we're going down to Nanaimo to buy an Apple TV. And he said, we don't need a TV, we got one. He had no idea what an Apple TV was. Anyway, but by far the most memorable was COVID Christmas. He bought me a cricket. Does anyone know what a cricket is? It's a crafting machine. It cuts balsa, wood, leather. I mainly use it for paper. Mainly, yeah. So this is how this goes. Because it was COVID and he was still only a year out of his surgery, we were kind of careful with not going there, So a friend of ours was in Vancouver, so they brought it home to me and he passed it over. So I looked at this thing and I said, what the hell am I going to do with this? So 6 months down the road, Tony's saying, Linda, do you realise you've taken over the dining room? You've emptied the bank account. How much more stuff does this stupid machine need? Ooh, lots. 6 months down the road, Huw says, how many more reasons can she find to send us a card? Because I will tell you, I'm sending cards all the time, and if not cards, other stuff. Yeah, but it's not one per family, it's one per person. It cost me a fortune in mail. Anyway, when it became obvious that he was deteriorating, I wanted to make him one last card that we could sort of share and laugh over. But unfortunately, as you all know, it happened very fast and I didn't get to make that card. So about 4 days ago, I'm lying in bed and it just flashed through me. So when you came in, you were given a little coaster, basketball coaster. If you didn't get one, it's dead out there. So Huw, this is truly my last card to you. And it's the only thing in my whole life I've regretted doing for you. That's it. Okay. Yes.
We watched Huw grow up from a goofy little kid running around with Tupperware tumblers on his feet, which is one of his favourite toys when he was younger. He built a successful career and finally a family man with his own house. It was my ultimate dream. What are you doing?
Find a bigger for you.
It was my ultimate dream to work alongside him in his own house. I still have projects in my head that we had planned earlier on for this year. And while I still have the projects in my head he had planned for this year, while I think he enjoyed working with me, he certainly did not like the how-to books I would dutifully buy him. He would say, "Get with it, Dad. Just Google it." All very well. If you've got a phone, I didn't. I know. All that remains, I did show Gethin how to use the battery-operated lawnmower. That's a start. Tools are next, Gethin. My biggest regret is the timing was not right for Huw, Gethin and I to walk the West Coast Trail, as Huw and I did when he was about 12 years old. I think he realized by the time Gethin was old enough, I would be too old. And also, my delay in the grouse grind with Huw was on my list for many years, and now it's obviously too late. As some of you know, Huw had a brother who passed away almost 10 years ago. They did not live the same lifestyle, but even though Paul was a hard worker and their social standings were very different, he had already helped as the need arose. Out of the blue, one day Huw said, "I'm buying you a roof, a new roof." Every gift he bought us was to enhance our life from one form or another. Although it usually involved technology, he would set it up and leave us struggling to figure it out again and again. It was a great privilege to be invited into his circle of friends who remained with him through high school, adulthood, through his ups and downs, until the very end. Linda and I are extremely grateful for that, and thank you is not enough.
Oh, I forgot one thing. Don't forget I was going to do one thing.
We watched Huw suffer and would have gladly changed places and given him more time with his family that he lived for and did not want to leave. You want to say the last one?
No. Oh, okay. No. I'll say this in the end. His last words to us were, again, his humour, "You can go now." He kicked us out, "You can go now." Our last words to him were, "We couldn't have had better son." And our final thank you is to Emma for the amazing devotion to Huw, and still gave it all to Gethin and Nia during those last 2 weeks. She made his life amazing. And I did just one more thing about the cricket machine. It is the best thing. I've had it 5 years and I'm still working on it, as you can see with the posters. I still got a garage full of stuff. And my dining room is still half full most of the time. Except if we are in company, then I'm going to clean it out.
So you haven't had a greeting card yet, you might get one in the future.
If I could, I'd protect you from the sadness in your eyes, give you courage in a world of compromise. Yes, I would, if I could. I would teach you all the things I've never learned, and I'd help you cross the bridges that I've burned. Yes, I would, if I could. I would try to shield your innocence from time, but the part of life I gave you isn't mine. I've watched you grow, so I could let you go. If I could, I would help you make it through the 100 years. But I know that I can never cry your tears. But I would if I could. If I live in a time and place where you don't want to be, what I would if I could. Yes, I would. Yes, I would if I
All I can say is, wow, look at all these people here. I mean, it looks like we've got people from all over the country, across the world online, and all just for here. He would have loved, or he would have hated missing this. For those of you who haven't met, my name is John Meredith, and I'm the lucky one to say that Huw is both a friend and family to me for over 35 years. When I think back to my time with Huw, it actually involved lots of tears. My earliest memory was us both getting cut from the grade 9 basketball team. And I saw him crying across the locker room. I was the new kid in town and just remembered thinking, who is this crybaby? There was lots more tears in the hospital for his last few days, but in between these memories, there's been so many more tears from laughing too hard. Huw and I lived together off and on for nearly 10 years. We traveled the world together. Trips to Mexico. Look for the photo in the slideshow with him with dreads. Thailand, Spain, Portugal, London, Amsterdam, Toronto, Montreal, and finally Wales for Emma and Hugh's wedding. Emma, it was such a great week, and both Devin and I were so happy to be included, all except for someone who hogged all the hot water in the morning. If you were there, you know who it was. Living with Huw was always a constant adventure. When we moved to Kits, I think the two of us kept the King's Head afloat a couple of extra years, spending way too much time there. Huw always brought me along to work parties to a point where I think most of the people just thought I worked there. I even played on the tribal DDV company softball team with him. I think it just goes to show what kind of friend he was. If he thought something was going to be fun, he didn't want his friends to miss it. There's also some downs to living with Huw, like the day he brought home a guitar, because he wanted to learn how to play. Lots of you have been there to see his live shows and heard his music, but I was the one that was there from the beginning. Waking up early on weekends, hearing him awfully strumming away outside my door, coming home late from work with him saying, "Check this out." I'd listen and "You still suck." But he never quit. I tried, and look where he got. I mean, we're gonna see them today. Huw moving away to London and Toronto left me with some great memories as well. He'd get his room all packed up and just look at me and say, "You good with the rest?" Leaving me to clean everything. He'd go off on a new adventure. I've tried to think of lots of more stories I could share, but I keep coming back to the things I'm gonna miss the most. Huw telling me the same story 2 or 3 times at least. Have I told you this one before? No. Sharing dumb jokes like we're still 15, and Hugh's sense of humor and kindness. I'll share one dumb story because I get reminded of this quite a bit. We're both in Amsterdam and we're heading out for our first spot in the city. And Huw walks up to a cafe. He tries to open the door. He's fiddling with it for must have been about 30 seconds. And the doorman on the other side of the glass door is shaking his head at us. He looks at me. I just got to look away. We're not getting in. And I look back at him like, I think you just need to push the door instead of pull. The doorman wanted to know how many cafes we'd been to before letting us in. Every time I open a door the wrong way, I instantly remember that moment. I've been really struggling to find a way to describe Huw for today. And I've been distracting myself with coaching my son's baseball team since his passing. Sorry. When we're on the field, I'm always reminding the boys about the 3 B's of baseball. Ball, base, backup, and it came to me. I got the 6 B's of Huw. Buddies. Just look around. The people in this room and online. He was one of a kind and meant so much to so many. You'll see lots of great photos of Huw with many friends throughout the day. Basketball. Huw loved basketball. Playing in high school, summer spent volleying at Williamson Park in Port Alberni, playing on the bench warmers, weekly games after work, and drop-ins well into his 40s. My last night with Huw outside the hospital was watching a March Madness game with him and Jonathan at his house. His babe, Emma. Huw loved you so much. He was the best man at my wedding, and I remember him coming up to me and telling me he invited a girl he just met like 2 weeks ago. I thought he was crazy. But we needed to hit our bar minimum, so I figured him bringing the girls from Wales would help. But I guess Huw just knew you were the one. Babies, Gethin and Nia. Your dad was so proud of you. And couldn't have loved you more. He loved sharing stories about the 2 of you with me. Sorry. Band. Huw loved playing in jet lag. I think James once told me the story that Huw told him making the album was the greatest accomplishment of his life. To which Emma replied, after our kids, right? Finally, beer. We drank too much. But I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat and wish we could have had one more. I guess after reading this, I think I should have made it the 7 B's of Huw. Bad dancer. He was absolutely terrible at it and hated it. It was so fun to watch. After I made Huw's list, I came up with 2 B's for Huw for me. Best friend and brother. I'll end today with my last words to Huw. I love you and goodbye.
Slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find a better place to play? You said that you've never been, but all the things that you've seen slowly fade away. So I started a revolution from my brain. 'Cause you said the brains I had went to my head. Step outside, summertime's in bloom.
I'd just like to say I'm not as funny as John. And not as technically advanced as Linda, because I wrote all my notes in big type, no less. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Maureen Atchison, and I am a work friend of Huw's. And so I get to talk a little bit about that side of his life. Sorry, just a sec. My friend Huw, last fall, I was introducing Huw to my sister-in-law, and she said, "Oh, it's my friend Huw." And he kind of looked at her like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, my friend Huw. It's how I refer to you when I'm talking about you." My sister pointed it out one day when I was, I guess, telling a story that Huw was involved in, and she's like, "That's when you talk about him, you say my friend Huw." I don't know why, but maybe it's because we met at work, but ultimately became friends. When I was thinking about the stories I wanted to share today about my friend Huw, they were really hard to pick. There's so many to choose from, and you've heard so many today already. Huw had a way of making an ordinary moment into a memorable one. And I know one of those moments that many of us here today can relate to is the day they met Huw, and I'm no different. I met Huw 26 years ago in the early days of our careers at Palmer Jarvis DDB. He was the new digital guy at Tribal. He was hired to help sell something called skyscrapers and big boxes, whatever those were. Before Huw started, Roger Ferguson, who hired him, his boss at the time, organized drinks after work at Mark James in Kitsilano. I don't know if many of you remember that place. He invited Huw to join so he could meet the team before he started. I wasn't part of Tribal, so I actually don't know why I was there, but probably because of the free drinks. Anyway, I won't ever forget it. Huw came in with his long, straggly hair and his wrinkled t-shirt and proceeded to tell this crazy story about somebody he knew. This story was shocking to me, like jaw on the ground. And I was like, uh-huh. And what was more shocking to me was that he was telling this story to strangers and his future colleagues. I thought to myself, who is this guy? Well, as I would come to know, this is Huw, charming and disarming, with a quirky sense of humor. He had a way of telling a joke or a story or relaying an honest, sometimes too honest of a comment, in the most earnest way that could make things a little bit awkward sometimes, but it was always in the most entertaining way. He told it with that mischievous grin, you know the one I'm talking about. Huw was instantly likable, and we became fast friends. We worked hard and played hard back in those days. We played on the company slow pitch team. John, are you sure you didn't work there? Drinking beer and running in the 24-hour relay at Swangard, not a great combination. Many Friday nights at DV8, Subies, and the King's Head after a busy work week, attending the legendary DDB summer and Christmas parties, of which Huw actually brought his parents to one. It was at the Lost Margaritas one. Only Huw would bring his parents to our crazy Christmas parties. It was fun. He was a familiar face at Nick Chan's poker tournaments. I promise you there was some work somewhere in here, but there were a lot more great times had. And there were a lot of long-time friendships forged here. Rob, Craig, Dave, Nick, Chris, to name a few. And Rick and Angela from his Brian Fulton and She days. These are friendships that extended well beyond the halls of our workplaces. Huw also held roles at Best Buy, CBC, Rogers, and he finally settled in at Bell Media. He loved working at Bell Media. He really did. He would tell this to me all the time. and he loved digital media more. He was the 2-time recipient of the President's Club Award for Digital Sales, most recently won just this last year. In 2018, Huw told me about an opening at Bell Media, so we got to work together again for another 5.5 years. I miss the mornings in the office where he would meander over to my desk with his tea in hand, and we would debrief on whatever was going on in our lives. An update on me and Gethin, my dating woes, his plan on how he was going to move his shed from one point to the other in his backyard. And he Googled it, and he found the way, and he was very, very proud of this, and it was actually quite impressive. We had a reoccurring debate about whether good media placement was more important than good branding and creative. You can probably guess which side he was debating, but I would just tell him that he likely didn't buy his Air Jordans just because of a good media placement. He sat on the board of the IAB, which is the Interactive Advertising Bureau, for 7.5 years. He was a regular panelist at their events. He was a well-respected member of the industry. And just yesterday, ABCOM, another media organization, had their annual Canadians game at Nat Bailey, which they dubbed it the Huner. It was a sellout. A testament to how much he was loved in the industry. And Huw loved these events because he loved socializing with industry friends over beers and a few laughs. And if you were talking to him, it felt like you were longtime friends, even if you had just met him. Huw and I convinced Emma at one point to ride with me on the CTV Tour to Cure team to help raise money for BC Cancer. Over the years, Huw helped organize numerous fundraisers where he played with his band Jetlag, and they raised close to $20,000 for BC Cancer Research and Lionsgate Hospital Foundation, where he was receiving treatment. Huw didn't make any fanfare over the good things he did for others. It was just his nature. He was kind, he was thoughtful, and he was engaged, and he never took life too seriously. And we're all a little bit better for knowing him. It's hard not to think about what he leaves behind. But if there's any good, he leaves all of us. An incredible community of family and friends that he and Emma have built. One that feels just a little bit closer now because of him. A son, a husband, a father, a colleague, and a friend. My friend Huw.
On behalf of Gethin, Nia, and myself, I want to thank you all for being here today and for the support and love that you have given and continue to give us as a family. It has helped to soften the rough edges of our loss and will provide us with the strength needed as we try to adapt to this strange and often difficult new reality. Words are hard to come by these days and even harder to give voice to. So I will let the pictures tell their own story. I promise that this will be the last slideshow. I wanted to share a quote from Richard Wagamese, one of my favorite authors. All that we are is story. From the moment we are born to the time we continue on our spirit journey, we are involved in the creation of the story of our time here. It is what we arrive with. It is all we leave behind. We are not the things we accumulate. We are not the things we deem important. We are story, all of us. What comes to matter then is the creation of the best possible story we can while we're here. You, me, us, together. I want to thank all of you for being part of Huw's story. Huw loved a good story and was much better at telling stories than he was jokes, where his enthusiasm for the punchline often got the better of him. It is my hope that in gathering today, we get to hear new stories and revisit old ones, and in doing so, connect with each other to not only grieve what we have lost, but also to give thanks for the rich memories that we have gained through our various roles in these stories.
Yes, I understand that every life must end. As we sit alone, I know someday we must go on. Oh, I'm a lucky man to count on both hands the ones I love. Some folks just have one, yeah, others they got none. Stay with me, yeah, let's just breathe. Practice on my sins, never gonna let me win. Under everything, just another human being. Yeah, I don't wanna hurt. There's so much in this world to make me bleed. Stay with me, all I see. Did I say that I need you? Did I say that I want you? Or if I did, I'm a fool, you see. No one knows this more than me. 'Cause I come clean, I wonder every day as I look upon your face. Everything you gave and nothing you would take on. Nothing you would take. Everything you gave. cleaner. Nothing you would take, everything you gave. Oh, hold me till I die, meet you on the other side.
So I'd like to thank Tony and Linda and John and Maureen and Emma and the kids for all sharing their words with us. I'd also really like to thank Jonathan Story, who put in a lot of time and hard work to make those slideshows. So we're going to open up the microphone now to anybody who would like to come up and say something or share a story. And there's a hand raised there. So we'll just go one at a time and see how it goes. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is John Voiles, and I had the pleasure of working with Huw at Bell Media. I've just made a few notes. Maureen, my story kind of echoes yours. Great minds think alike, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm certain all of us here today remember meeting someone for the very first time and feeling that you had known the person all your life, a true kindred spirit. That was what I felt my first time meeting Huw. I was part of the Bell Media sales team, and we were searching for a digital media specialist to join our group. We were talking to ad agencies and clients and other broadcasters to see who might be the perfect fit for our team. And one name in the market kept popping up, Huw Cawthorn. We heard adjectives like smart, caring, likable, a true team player, an immense sense of humor, loyal, a one-of-a-kind human being. Huw at the time was at Rogers Media, and I called him out of the blue one day, saying I'd heard of him across the market and would like to meet. Luckily, he had also heard my name in the market and was keen to get together. One side note, whenever I made a business meeting with a person I hadn't met, I allocated 30 minutes in respect for their time, but also to make an exit strategy for myself if the meeting wasn't working out. Well, Huw and I met, and my 30-minute rule was out the window. After coffees, we finally glanced at our watches after almost 2 hours and jumped up as we both had somewhere else to be from our 30-minute meeting. Walking back to my office, I knew we had to hire this guy, a perfect fit for our group. We got a deal done, and Huw became a wonderful and integral part of our Bell Media team. Excuse me. Our chats, usually over a sushi lunch, range from his loving family to renos, to wrecked properties, to mortgage rates. Huw and I both had one fear in life, and that was debt. And we talked about the fact that we never wanted to be in debt and have our savings all set up for our families. I know Huw was proud of that. At times, one would never know that I was Huw's boss, as he pulled off the craftiest and meanest practical joke on me in all time. Huw actually hired a voice actor to pretend they were a Canadian Border Services agent, trying to scuttle my plans to go to the airport with my family for Hawaiian vacation. But this is a story for another time, which I won't take time to share today, but that's our Huw. Excuse me. I'm thankful we met that day over coffee. I feel I'm a better person for having known Huw. My dear Huw, rest in peace. You're a good friend. I miss you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see how this goes. I'm Rob. I moved to Vancouver with Laurie in 2000 and met Huw straight away, and we were friends immediately and friends ever since. It's been mentioned a few times today, but Huw was many things, and it's also been mentioned, or kind of touched on, that he was often blunt and pretty inappropriate. So this piece is going to be inappropriate, so kids, earmuffs. I remember talking to Huw about something I was struggling with. We talked it through. He told me what I should do. He gave me advice. He said, "You just need to stop being a pussy." When I talked with Laurie about the same thing, I got home thinking about this thing again. She said, "Oh yeah, Huw just says you need to stop being such a pussy." It was good advice. I've tried to act upon it. It was amazing for us when Huw and Emma moved to Deep Cove. We got to see each other pretty much every day, and a big part of that was the walk to school. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I was in the office, Huw would walk with Laurie. I know she loved those walks. This is a quick 5-minute walk each way. But because this was Huw, every Tuesday and Thursday around lunchtime, following the walk to school, Laurie would get a text from Huw apologizing for something he'd said on that morning's walk. He didn't need to apologize, but that was Huw. Again, Laurie loved these texts, and we laughed and laughed, and that's what Huw always made us laugh. Huw and I got to share so many special moments in our lives, big and small, and across these moments I learned so much from him. I learned everyday gratitude. Huw loved his life. He was so grateful for what he had, and he rarely complained or moaned, less than anyone else I know. I also learned acceptance. Huw was so open to different views and perspectives. He spoke to and accepted everyone, and particularly in the world we live in today, I wish the world in general was more like Huw. I learned about friendship, 25 years together. We had so many ups and downs, deep conversations, supporting each other, lots of laughs, sharing life. And now I'm grateful for every moment I had with Huw. I also know that, like many people here today, I'm mad as hell that so many of those moments, or future moments, have been taken away. I know it's normally reserved for husband and wife, but I thought we were going to get to grow old together. Walking the dogs, drinking tea, talking and laughing. I'm so grateful as well that near the end I got to share some special moments with Huw. We got to sit and cry together. I got to hold his hand. I got to tell him that I loved him. And I also learned that you should do those things sooner. Emma, Nia Gethin, I love you. We love you as a family. We'll always be here for you. You're truly amazing, and Huw's so proud of you. So just to finish up, the Zen Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh says, "A cloud never dies." I think that Huw will be with everyone here today forever, just in a different way. Look out for him, talk to him, remember what he taught you. Huw, I love you, buddy. Thank you for everything.
If no one else would like to say anything, I think the guys from Jetlag, we'd love to hear some music now. Oh, there's somebody else? Hold on. Thank you.
Nervous to get up here, but I figure you got to take the chance to say something if you're going to say it. So just want to talk about Huw as a neighbor. So I live across the street from Huw and family. And I can remember, I think in COVID sometime, this guy moves across the street with his family, and he's probably the nicest guy that I've ever met, the friendliest guy. And right away he's coming over to talk, and he's a natural connector and someone who brings people together. And what can I say? Sorry. He was always coming to the back of the house. I was always cooking dinner, and there would be a knock on the back door, and it would be Huw showing up just to check in and say, how are things going? What's going on? We'd share some neighborhood gossip, and then he'd be on his way back home to do whatever he was doing. Something that was awesome during COVID is we couldn't really go out and do a lot of stuff, so we started this thing called street beers. And I'd come home and I'd get a text from Huw, and it'd be street beers, ? And we'd go out in the street. Tony, you were there a few times, I think, as well. We'd have a beer or two, occasionally a couple more. But it was such a great thing during that time for people to get out and connect like that. So I remember the shed. Huw said, we're going to move the shed, and here's how we're going to do it. Do you want to help Tony and I said, no, not a chance. And then he came and told me that it was successful. So I was glad that it worked, because I had these visions of the shed just like rolling into the backyard. And, one time, this is about, Huw's sense of adventures. We took street beers on the road, and we went down to Lower Lonsdale. And, we visited probably every place. And then Huw's like, well, I'm not ready to go home. Let's go for a walk. And so we ended up walking all the way from Lower Lonsdale all the way back to Deep Cove. I think he probably got in some trouble with Emma for that, but it was a great experience. And the last thing is that if anybody's been to Huw and Emma's, that they have a wood-burning fireplace. And Huw had this hoard of wood beside the house, and I'd always get these texts from Huw being like, do you think Mike will lend me his truck? That's my father-in-law. Or can you help me come gather this wood? And so I was walking down the street the other day, and I saw this pile of wood. And so every time I walk by a pile of wood now, I think of Huw and this collection of wood. So, I just wanted to get up and say that he was a wonderful neighbor and a wonderful person, and I'm sorry for all your loss. And thanks.
The funny parts. My name is Rick, and today I want to tell you about my first meeting with you. And it's funny how this theme keeps coming up. Everybody remembers the first time. And I want to tell you about my first meeting with you because that encounter led to Huw joining the media industry, which is ultimately how many of you who are here today came to know him. Ironically, that first meeting took place on a day in mid-June in 1996, 29 years ago, possibly exactly to this day. The agency that I worked for then, Bryant, Fulton & Shee, decided to have its summer party early that year so that all staff members could take part in it before we started losing people to summer holidays. I had skipped the party. The media team was short-staffed. Work was piling up, and I thought that I could get a few things done with an uninterrupted day in the office, with the main objective being the interviewing of 8 or 10 BCIT grads that were in my calendar for that day. But, Murphy's Law, or fate, about 20 minutes after arriving at the office, the power went out. Just our building at 1500 West Georgia, nowhere else. I don't know what the issue was, but now the office was not only empty of people, it was dark, deathly quiet, not even the white noise of the HVAC or hum of computers or Xerox machines, nothing, just eerie, gloomy silence. And then at 10 a.m., and every half hour afterwards, one by one, the interviewees that I had lined up began calling my office telephone to tell me the power's out of my building, the elevators don't work, and we're going to need to reschedule the interview. So there goes that hyper-productive day out the window. Here I am in the office with no computer to get any work done, no candidates to interview, and all my workmates are out getting wasted in the sunshine, when all of a sudden the silence was broken by this boom, 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 pounding on the metal fire door down the end of the hallway. I cautiously opened the door, and there was this lanky young man in a too big suit and a skinny tie, and he thrust his hand out and he said, "Hi, I'm here to see Rick Sanderson." I shook his hand and I said, "Well, that's me." He said, "Oh, here's my resume. I brought a new one for you." I noted that he was right on time for his interview. We went down to my office, the hallway still eerily quiet and empty of ad agency people, and he sat down and began asking questions about the job. Many questions. But not a single one about, why is it so dark in here? Why is the power off? Where are all the people? Why are you the only one here? So none of this Twilight Zone office experience appeared to faze him at all. He was completely nonplussed. I knew right then and there that I wanted Huw Cawthorn on my team. If he could adapt to weird circumstances that quickly, find his way into the locked fire escape, bolt up 11 flights of stairs without even breaking a sweat, and then sit down in a dark, silent, empty office as if nothing at all was out of the ordinary, then this kid was cut of the right cloth. Nothing any clients or sales reps might throw at this guy is going to freak him out. It was possibly the best job interview test ever. You're in, Huey. Huw was with us wasn't with us for more than a couple of years before he felt Britain calling, but he always remained part of the BFS media family. We were, as Maureen Atchison said, peas in a pod. There are so many more stories, but I will end on this note. I have been to a few too many celebrations of life for industry colleagues in recent years, and one thing that is often said is that we should have had this event while the person was alive so that they could have enjoyed it with us. But with Huw, I'm not so sure that we have that regret, because we celebrated his life every time we were with him, because he made us. It was impossible to be angry or stressed out with Huey around, because he just didn't let that happen. He'd inevitably do or say something with his unique brand of Huw quirkiness that would completely disarm the situation and make us laugh and laugh. This was the magic of Huw, a man who was kind to everyone he met, a man who has gone far, far too soon, a man who only now, as we take time to fully reflect, do we realize what he truly brought to us. Yeki da, Huw. We are all better for having known you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy, otherwise known as the guy who used to come and stay every summer and they couldn't get rid of. I just had 3 stories that I wanted to tell, which I think kind of sum up Huw's personality. I first met him in 1998 with Johnny when I was working out here, and I think they were both interested in the same girl at the time. But Huw then moved to England the year after, and he was working in London. And Huw and I would, I don't think, ever have been friends if we hadn't met in 1998, because we're entirely different people. We like different beer, different interests, but I became very, very fond of Huw and became good buddies. And I remember when he moved to England in 1999, and this is just to demonstrate how laid back he was, he came up to see me and another mate of mine a few times up in Hull in the north of England, and then we said we're going to go to Scotland one time, and he was like, "Oh, I'll come and join you." And we were, "Oh, that's great." And we said, "Okay, well, how will you get to us?" He said, "Oh, I'll just fly to somewhere and you can come and pick me up." And we were like, "Okay." And the next thing I know is this message comes saying, "Oh, I'm flying to Newcastle. Come and meet us in Newcastle," which was not exactly on the way to where we were going in Scotland. And then one summer when I was coming to stay here, I thought this is just again to how laid back he is. In the old days in Carolina Street next to Matt and Sasha, Huw and Emma and the family were, I think, over in Wales. And he said, "Oh, come and stay at our place. It's absolutely fine." So I turn up, I get on a plane, turn up, and I find the spare key to the house. I walk into the house to find the entire house has been covered in plastic sheeting because it has been painted. There is not a single piece of the building or the property at all available for anyone to stay in. that would be bad enough, but for the fact that he'd also told somebody else he could stay there that same time. So I ended up having to knock on Matt and Sasha's door and say, hey, it's me, I'm back again for another summer, can I please come and stay with you? And they very kindly did. And then just my last story about to Hugh's personality is, we go drinking quite a lot to a lot of the breweries nearby, and I think Matt and I carried on drinking one night, and Huw decided to go back to bed, and I got locked out of the house, so I had to sleep in the back of Matt's truck, in the flatbed truck. Someone came to look at me in the middle of the night and looked away, so I think they were so appalled. But I didn't want to wake anybody up, so the next morning the back door opens. I eventually went to the back, and Huw opens the door, and I just said to him, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to disturb you. He said, well, that was dumb, wasn't it? And not a bit of sympathy for the fact I'd had to sleep literally in the back of a truck. But I just thought that summed up his personality, and the last few texts I had with Huw I thought were very telling. He said to me he'd seen his parents and how he'd enjoyed that you'd been to see him, and then I said to him, how are things going? And he said, I don't want to talk about me, let's talk about you, which I quite enjoy. I just thought that summed up his personality of just a thoroughly decent, kind-hearted individual, and I am really grateful and thankful for having got to know Huw and Johnny, and having to come and stay in all of your very many places over various summers. And every summer I would leave, I would come back, I'd say before I leave, next year I'm coming back, I'd have lost 40 pounds, and then the time I finally did that, unfortunately Huw got ill, so I didn't have the last year or so to enjoy as much as we would have liked to. But just thank you to Huw, and thank you to Emma and to the kids for letting me continue to still be part of your life, and to Tony and Linda too. So thank you.
Check, check. Check, check, check. Sorry, I just got to do a quick mic check.
Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check.
Hi, everyone. We're Jetlag. We're the band you've heard way too much about because Huw won't stop shutting up about it. We are real. We're not a Sesame Street fantasy of his. And we're going to play 3 songs for you today. We're going to play a song by one of his favorite bands, the Stereophonics, the Welsh band. he definitely had an affinity for that band. We played a few of their songs. This one, the song we'll do today, is one that was suggested to us at some point by Emma. It's a live version of one of the songs they do. It's called I Want to Get Lost with You. And then we're going to play an original song that we wrote. It was one of the last songs that we all wrote together with Huw, called Remain Calm. And it's one that we recorded together, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And the last song that we'll do is a U2 song called All I Want Is You. And both the stereophonic song and the U2 song, you could replace the word you with Huw if you wanted to. So we'll get underway here. But people have come up to me today and said, "Oh, thank you so much for playing. This is really nice." And it's an absolute honor and to play here for Hugh's memory and for his family. Thank you for listening. Okay. James just needs to plug in, so that's a good start. If Huw was here, there'd be another half an hour or so till we'd start playing. Remember the light and the flame. It was the birthday party for someone. And then you told me your name. Said you were one in a million. I wanna get lost with you. It's the only thing I wanna do. Get out of my mind with you. So come on over. I'll walk you home in the rain. Speaking the same language. Running around in my brain. And then you send me a message that said, I wanna get lost with you. It's the only thing I wanna do. Get out of my mind with you. So come on over. I wanna get lost with you. It's the only thing I wanna do. Get out of my mind with you. So come on over. I know we did some wrong. You got messed up and told me now that you were with someone. We got messed up with so much stuff like nipped in a loaded gun. And now I'm out of my mind with you, and we got a day in the sun. I wanna get lost with you. It's the only thing I wanna do. Get out of my mind with you. So come on over. I wanna get lost with you. It's the only thing I wanna do. Get out of my mind with you. So come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Yeah, I wanna get lost with you. Thank you. Thanks. It's been really enlightening to hear some of the stories today. We're latecomers to the cult of Huw in the Jet Lag Band. We met him in the fall of 2001, I think it was, when he joined the band. He showed up just down the road at a place called Deep Coke Music, kind of close to his neighborhood. He showed up with a guitar in hand. We already had 3 guitars, and he brought his guitar and was keen to join. And as per the stories today, we all remember that first day and going, who is this guy? And he'd play a couple of notes, and so I'm curious, John, you were mentioning that he started playing guitar. So that was like just a couple of years ago, or when was that? We can clarify some of these questions today. But we straightened him out, and we put him on the bass, and wow, I mean, he really just fell right into that part, and just loved it, and we loved having him as part of our group. He was a motivator. He was just a fantastic person to be in this group with, and a great organizer. And the other story that John told that I made a note about was the bad dancer part of his story. So, oh, there is. So, okay, well, show us. Do you know it? Here we go. You dance. Yeah, that was him on the stage. But I remember there was a couple of tricky bass lines that he was required to do as part of the contract that he signed to join the band, and he had to introduce the song and do it without really a lot of the percussion supporting him, and so he had to figure out what's the rhythm by himself before we would start the song. And I remember one day in practice, I'm like, well, why don't you just like dance, right? Like, if you dance, it'll help you figure out the rhythm. Just tap your feet. And he looked at me. And he looked at his feet, and I realized I don't think that's going to work. Anyways, so I do just want to say thank you very much again to everybody for letting us share Huw a little bit in our band. I can't express enough how important he was to us, and how much of a loss it is for us. So. This is an original song that we all wrote together, that we recorded on the album, which I think for him was done at a time when he needed it, and we needed him to be there, and it was just an incredibly enjoyable process for us to participate together in that. Bringing in his friend Brody to record the material for us. We got to all go up to the Sunshine Coast to stay together, and just had a fantastic time. And anyways, this is called Remain Calm. Everything here looks good. I wouldn't worry about it. I were you. Don't let it get to you. You can rise above it, all of this share. It'll all pass you by, eventually, eventually. Breathe in and breathe out. Just remain calm, just remain calm. And nothing to see here, move along. And just remain calm, just remain calm. You've got thick skin, and it makes you distant. Smile and nod and bite your cheek, bite your cheek. If you let go, they will get you. I bet you will regret your slow motion train wreck. You got to hold still, stay within yourself, nothing's sticking out. Every new mistake, every time you break, it's harder to shake. Does anybody care? While layer by layer, they rain on your parade. Like calamari damacy, the shit accumulates. It just accumulates. You've got thick skin, and it makes you distant. Smile and nod and bite your cheek, bite your cheek. If you let go, they will get you. I bet you will regret your slow motion train ride. What's bad or good anyway, anyway. Who knows what's bad or good anyway, anyway. Who knows what's bad or good anyway, anyway. Who knows what's bad or good anyway? Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. This is our last song. All I Want Is Huw. You say you want diamonds and a ring of gold. You say you want your story to remain untold, but all the promises we made from the cradle to the grave, and all I want is you. You say you'll give me a highway with no one on it, treasure just to look upon it, all the riches in the night. You say you'll give me eyes on a moon of blindness, a river in a time of dryness, a harbor in the tempest, but all the promises we made from the cradle to the grave, and all I want is you. You say you want your love to work out right, to last with me through the night. You say you want diamonds and a ring of gold, your story to remain untold, your love not to grow cold, and all the promises we made from the cradle to the grave, and all I want is you. We miss you, Huw, and we love you. Thank you.
Huw would have loved that. My last visit with Huw, we were just sitting together and listening to Jet Lag, and Huw said just how grateful he was to have met you guys and to have been part of the band. It was a really big deal to him. And like recording the album was a really big deal to him. So thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for being here today, in person, online. We have the venue until 6 o'clock, so there are food and drinks available in the adjoining room. Thank you once again for being here.
Down there to go see you.
One sport that's really big for us is the Olympics. Yeah.